All right, welcome one and all to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I'm here with Brian. How you doing today, Brian?
I'm all discombobulated. I'm in a rental rig or a loaner rig. I don't have my phone mount, so I got to hold it in my hand, but we're going to get by. We're going
Well,
to make it.
don't hurt yourself there, okay? You know, I was mentioning this the other day on one of the podcasts. Your son does a wrestling podcast, and they had a big WWE event in Vegas this weekend, right?
Yes,
What
WrestleMania.
what's that?
WrestleMania,
WrestleMania.
the biggest
CM,
one of the year.
yeah, CM Punk, John Cena, but for the first time ever, and I don't even understand this, they had betting on it. Like, don't they already know who the winner is? I mean, come on, man.
Well, I guess only select few know who
Yeah,
the
I guess
predetermined
so.
winner is going to be.
Wow, look at John Cena's wife. She's at the sports book again. There's literally 40 bettors following her around everywhere she goes. Manny
Wow.
Petty for you, ma'am. How was your Easter?
Uh, well, pretty good. Because my son was at WrestleMania.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was there for the last 4 days. So me and the princess have been on grandparent duty with the kid.
God,
So
yes.
2.5 years old, running around. That'll wear you out, man.
Terrible twos. God bless. That's a
He's a good
handful.
kid, but man, it's a handful.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy. A lot of energy trying to rein it in. All right. Well, let's get to the world of baseball. We are about 3 weeks in now, and let's start with the number one takeaway. The Dodgers finally won a road series. First one they've won this year. They took 2 of 3 from the Rangers. I guess we don't have to make those championship rings out there with Jason and Jason in Beverly Hills quite yet, right?
Hey, that's what I've been saying this whole time. I
I'm
know. Go
telling you
ahead,
that.
tell me I'm right. I know you don't want to.
Oh, I tell
Tell me
you,
I'm
you're right
right.
all the time. You're right on this one. But you know what? Why do you think they have problems on the road?
Well, it could be a number of things, but I mean, you know what? They're a baseball team. I mean, baseball teams that win 60% are considered above average. Baseball is a game of failure. You know, you can't, I, I don't care how many stars they got. They weren't going to win 130 games. They're just not.
I'll tell you what, their home record's pretty damn impressive. But
Yeah.
I uh, I don't know. There just seems, there's something off on the road. I don't know. Maybe Mookie Betts isn't healthy. I don't know. Shohei Ohtani is coming in and out. I don't know what's going on there, but that is one tough division. You called it before the beginning of the year. I'm telling you, you got the D-backs, you got the Giants playing amazing, and the Padres too. Who do you like so
Yeah.
far in that division?
Well, the Padres to me seem to be a standout, actually. Uh,
Okay.
and that's an obvious pick because they're at the top right now. But the Giants are still the surprise. I thought they'd be making strides, getting better this year, but I didn't think they'd be hanging in. I mean, granted, we're only 3 weeks in, so.
Right.
But the Diamondbacks, I did expect to be right there, just a tick under the Padres and the Dodgers, and a playoff contender. So that doesn't really surprise me. Just 2 years ago they were in the World Series, so that is a good team.
It is a good team. I'm gonna go a little off the rails here. Uh the Cubs before the season started traded a nice package to get Kyle Tucker, and they didn't sign him. This is the last year, and I don't know if you've seen the stats, but Kyle Tucker is in the top 5 to top 6 on almost every category in the National League. What happens to that team if Kyle Tucker walks?
Uh,
Is that a
Nothing.
failure of management?
Not necessarily. I mean, people will want to keep him, and it would obviously be a great asset to sign him long term. But the Cubs are always going to be the Cubs, and they're going to draw. They'll move on, and I don't see the Cubs as being one of these teams that their fan base is going to be so upset. I mean,
No.
they had that great core that went to the World Series and won, and I mean Theo and Jed Hoyer started breaking that thing down the very next year practically.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't get rid of some of those guys quick enough.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Jed Hoyer's still the guy there, you know, running the show. So
Well, well, to
they're
me,
quick to turn the page. Very
to
quick to turn the page.
to me, it is just a moronic management decision. If you're, you know, the Red Sox traded a bundle of packages of kids for Crochet. You got to resign him. You either
Yeah.
believe in the trade or you don't. And I know what's happening. You know, Ricketts does spend some money, but he isn't exactly generous. He isn't aggressive. But when you are going to say we've scouted this kid, we've put all this assets into acquiring him, you've got to sign him. You know those conversations are going on with the agent. I don't really care what baseball rules really are. If you're arguing on 50 or 60 million, you better split it down the middle because now this guy's going to walk the free agent and you're going to look like the biggest buffoons there is.
Well, you're not going to split it down the middle. You're going to pay it all. That's what the Blue Jays had to do with Vladdy.
We don't know
After
that.
they
Yeah.
after they were 50 million apart for quite a few months, right?
Right.
And but I wouldn't say just because they haven't re-signed him yet that they're not still working on it and that they're probably not going to come to some kind of an agreement unless Tucker is just one of those guys who is hell bent on going to free agency,
Well,
listening to his agent who's telling him, dude, I don't care if they're offering you 450, we're going to get 700.
right.
So it depends on what he's being told from people that aren't Cubs employees.
Absolutely. That's why management or he has his own people. But the problem is this is the roll of the dice you take as a player and as management. If he was hitting a buck 50, a buck 80 right now, it'd be easier to resign him. Of course, now the price would go down, but now that he's having this season like he's on fire, the price goes up every day.
Well, and he's got to keep in mind too. Uh, he takes a fastball off the wrist,
Sure.
price is going down because now he's
Eh.
going to be out for 2 months,
Mm.
and then you got to see what he's like when he comes back, right?
I don't know about that. I mean, you know, that used to be, God bless you, that used to be the mentality in the 80s and the 90s. But now these guys are coming off serious injuries, and they're going to be out for 6 months, a year. Shohei Ohtani, hey, you're not going to pitch for a year or two. Hey, don't worry about it. The medical science has gotten these procedures down so well that I think there's a lot more confidence with management and people like that when they're trying to resign somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, you're going to want to see him come. If he was to
Sure.
get hurt in some capacity, you'd want to see him swinging it though and making sure he's coming back, you know, a 100% before you're going to put 10 years in front of him.
I
I would.
I
I would.
I don't even know what you're saying. It worked great with Cody Bellinger. All right. Let's talk about the other story that I think is pretty big out there. The Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves are not playing very well. Let's look at what their record is. Hold on, give me a second here. I think they're 8-13. They've gotten off to a bad start. The sky is falling, blah, blah, blah. Welcome to the
It's getting
world.
late early.
It is getting late early, like they see on ESPN, like literally 40 times a telecast. Man, they need another tagline. But we had a situation yesterday where Jason Kelenic hit what he deemed a home run, hit the top of the fence, and got thrown out at second base. MLB reporter Mark Bowman asked Brian Snicker, the Atlanta manager, if he was going to say anything to Kelenic, and he says, "Was I supposed to?" Like, hey, that's just what happens in baseball. Well, unfortunately, That isn't exactly how everybody on the team looked at it. We have Ronald Acuna, who's rehabbing from an injury. He actually did the exact same thing 6 years ago, and Snedeker sat him down. And Ronald Acuna went to social media immediately during the game because, hey, I got nothing else to do, right? Except eat pizza and beer. Well, oh, sorry, that's if you're in Boston. And he
Chicken.
kind of he threw out the manager. What do you think about this situation?
I think it's great.
Oh
And
boy.
then I'll tell you this: this is the first time I've heard about it. Okay,
Okay.
I did see
Okay.
the guy hit the wall and get thrown out at second. I thought,
Okay.
what an idiot. Okay,
Okay. Fair enough.
I didn't hear about the Acuna stuff or the Snitker stuff. I told you I was on grandson duty all weekend.
I understand.
But the manager should absolutely say something. And what's worse though is he shouldn't have to, but he absolutely should. It's his job, and he needs to tell us, dude, hey, dude, you don't be showboating it when you freaking hit one out, especially one that doesn't even get out. If it's a no doubter, a freaking Aaron Judge moonshot special, okay, watch it. That's fine. You're gonna do the Fernando Tatis Jr. where he jacks one out of the stadium. Okay, take a look at it. But he hits one that's not even a guaranteed, and he's showboating it around, taking his time, and then gets thrown out. He should have had at least a triple on that. That's my take. And the
Okay.
manager, he's a grown-up man, professional baseball player. He shouldn't have to be told that. That's my opinion.
I appreciate that. Unfortunately, you were incorrect. Um, you are
All right.
you are you are right with your premise. I think the bigger issue is, and let's make no mistake, if they were 13-8, this wouldn't be as big of an issue. Okay? But they're losing, they're in a bad place. If you don't treat all the players, I understand a superstar gets different treatment. Okay, fair enough. If this was Shohei Ohtani, everybody go, oh well, he lost the ball in the lights. They'd make more excuses than we see in the political spectrum, right? But your best player, Ronald Acuna, you made an example of. And I think it's right. I agree with you 100% there. You cannot go down to Mr. Kalenic and go, hey, just what happened. Ronald Acuna is watching. The other stars on the team are watching. Are we even handed here? Are we treating is the way we're playing going to be consistent? And to me, Snedeker has a real problem here. If they win 10 in a row, problem goes away. But how do you go into the locker room when Ronald Acuna comes back and he looks at the manager and goes, you're treating me different than everybody else?
Well, that's why I'm saying he should have said something.
I agree.
If he can do it to his best player, he should
Right,
absolutely do it to this guy,
right, right. But
especially given the situation that they're struggling and not playing well.
right. I mean, to me, the biggest thing that a manager has to do, albeit with the superstar, like we talked about last week, Aaron Judge didn't feel throw the ball. He threw the ball to the plate in the wrong situation, right? They're up by 1 run. He's throwing to the plate, letting the runner get the second. Okay, I thought that was a mistake. Boone is not calling him out. Now, if that's me or you, we're going to AAA. See you in Columbus, guy. Have a nice week, right? Don't worry. Take plenty of good snacks and food down for the kids there. You're going to be a while, right? Yeah, exactly. All right. Now, let's talk about our Red Sox. We don't really know how the series is going to go because we got the Boston Marathon game today. They won 2 out of 3. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the third game yesterday. What do you like? What do you like, and what don't you like about our Red Sox?
Uh, there is a dramatic level of inconsistency across all spectrums:
Okay.
offense, pitching, fielding, defense. And something happened in yesterday's game that I watched that really let's take a moment if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Let's, I'm watching the game and I'm listening to the Red Sox broadcast. They're cruising with a 4-2 lead, I don't know, for about 3 or 4 innings. We're in the bottom of the top of the seventh. They bring in whoever they bring in to pitch, some
Okay.
guy who comes in to load up the bases because
Sure.
that's what relief pitchers are supposed to do when they're
Frankie
protecting a
Rodriguez
lead.
too. Yep.
So you got bases loaded, no outs, and you're up by 2. Defense is playing back. They're hoping to get a double play here. They'll give up 1 run for a double play. Pretty standard baseball.
Right.
I'm listening to the Red Sox broadcast, so I got the O'Brien and Lou Merlone on the call, and the guy comes up for Chicago. Defense is back. He rolls a bunt up the first baseline. Sack bunt. He's out. All 3 runners advanced. So we have a 4-3 game with 1 out, runners on second and third.
Okay.
Lou Merlone is like just ripping this guy, the manager, the whole White Sox. Why would you do this? You should be playing for a big inning. It doesn't make any sense. Blah, 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 right?
Right.
And he rambled on about that for like 2 innings, even though it was resolved right away. I'm thinking to myself, that was a smart play.
I agree.
Because now you don't have a force at any base. There's no double play threat.
Right.
A fly ball ties the game. And sure enough, the guy gets a bait, and then Cora brings the infield in to stop that tying run.
Sure.
And the guy shoots a freaking single right up the middle. Wasn't even a hard hit ball, just a basic ground ball up the middle. 2-run score. Good night. And then they just rolled it out from there. So bad defense, bad game management. I think they still should have played the defense back in that situation. Maybe bring in the corners. But yeah, the Red Sox are a mess.
Well,
even though they seem to be, they're kind of winning, but they're not winning well. That's my take on the Red Sox.
Yeah, boy. You are a true Red Sox fan. We're just not winning pretty enough. God bless. I see that all the time in baseball with these quote unquote announcers, these experts, and they're effing idiots. And exactly what you describe, and I didn't listen to it, but you did a very nice job replaying it, is you have to realize when you're the manager of the White Sox, you don't have a lot of tools. You've got to try and get as close as you can. You don't have the 27 Yankees. You lost 121 games last year. You've got to give your guys hope. And I have been saying on this podcast, I think the White Sox are a competitive team. I know they're not great. I know they're not going to win 70 games, but they are competitive games. And that's a good example of we're keeping it close. All we need is a seeing eye single like you described. Hey, maybe we can get there. And they pulled out a victory because of it.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. It's okay to not play for the long ball all the time. And I think way too many teams and way too many situations aren't willing to just put down a sack bunt.
Absolutely. And look, there's different levels of players on different teams. The Yankees and the Phillies and the Dodgers have a different level than the White Sox, the Rockies. They've got to really scrap a lot more. They've got to play a lot more fundamental baseball because their margin for error is so much smaller. They don't have Aaron Judge who can hit a 3-run jack and make it all better.
Right. And I think the Red Sox do a good job at that aspect of it, of trying to manufacture some runs. They steal a lot of bases, which is really good.
Yep.
And, they don't have any big home run guys, unfortunately.
Well, we had Trevor's story this weekend, but don't you fret about that, okay? He's Babe Ruth and reincarnate. I'd like to get your take on Casas. I know he's one of your favorite players.
Yeah, I think it's time to trade him while he still might have some hope and promise for the future. This guy, to me, is Bobby Dalbec 2.0.
Oh. Wow.
One decent season, a little over 20 home runs and maybe like 70 or 80 RBIs once. And he gets hurt a lot. He's not a great defensive first baseman. He hit a walk-off the other night, in Fenway. But let's face it, it's because of the monster so close. Otherwise, that was a routine fly ball to left.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, it counts because he hit it where he hit it.
Right.
But this guy is he's barely hitting. I mean, he's all dropped down to seventh in the order this week, and I just think this guy, if there's still some promise in his bat, they should try to move him and get something for him because I don't think it's coming out.
Well, the thing is, and this is the struggle that goes on with the coach and the front office is part of the front office wants to believe in their guy, even if he's not producing on the field. We'll just get through it. Maybe we'll be able to trade him when his value's a little higher, right? Exactly what you're talking about. His value's nothing, right? I mean, this is a guy that the Angels would trade for, right? I mean, let's call it what it is, right? And if you don't give him ABs, the problem is you can't increase the value or at least get something. I mean, I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do with him and Rafaela. I think we're just waiting for Roman Anthony to take over that position, but we'll see what the future has.
Yeah, Roman Anthony is going to be coming soon. Meyer is the one. See, that's the shortstop,
Right.
and see, I think if you're moving Casas, you're making room for Meyer to come up because you're gonna open up an infield spot.
Right.
They got a couple other guys that play some first base once in a while, but also keep in mind somebody like Trevor Story could move over to first base probably and do a pretty good job.
Sure.
And then you get the young guy over there playing, and then you got to get them prepped anyway because Bregman might be gone after this year anyway. So let's get this kid up in the majors. Let's get him playing. I mean, what's he going to do? Come up and struggle and be worse than Casas?
Unlikely.
There you go. I
You
think
know, we
Casas
could
has
always,
had enough time and enough chances that it's time to pull the plug on that, considering what they have available to come up behind him. If they didn't
well,
have anything in the farm system, then yeah,
sure,
keep him.
sure. I wonder if this is a service time thing with Roman Anthony, and I don't know. I mean, the kid seems like he's ready, but you know what? The thing is, the worst thing you can do to a promising kid coming up is not give him some legitimate ABs at the major league level, right? You're not bringing him up to put him on the bench 4 days a week, right? And
Right.
honestly, at this juncture, unless you're going to make a decision on Rafaela in center field, I don't really see a place where he can get consistent ABs. Roman Anthony, that is.
Well, I think if he comes up, you're going to put Anthony in center field, and Rafaela is going to be more of a utility guy. He can play some shortstop. He can play, if he can play center field, he can play the other outfield positions if guys need an off day or whatever, and he'll fill
Sure.
in. They do seem to be not so committed to Willie Abreu every
Nope.
day. He
Nope.
seemed, and I don't know why. Last year he was a Gold Glover. He had a pretty damn good rookie season. I'm kind of confused as to why he's not in the everyday lineup. But
He he seems to hit real well.
yeah, I think
I
he's leading the team in home runs
well, they
at
got
four.
well, Trevor Story almost caught him the other night. All right, you got
Oh,
any other observations on the world of baseball, Brian, before we go?
oh, that's about all that's really eating me up this morning. So
Okay, I'm glad you got it out. This is almost a therapy session.
yeah, it
Off
is.
the rails
Appreciate it.
therapy session.
I appreciate it, man. You have no idea.
All right, man. You're the best, Brian. All right. Like and subscribe, everybody out there. Leave some comments. Tell me, just everybody, just be honest. Tell me that I'm right and Brian's wrong.
Yeah, I can take it. I promise.
All right. We'll see you
All right,
soon.
man. See
All
ya.
right. All right.